Welcome back, everybody, to the First Team NFL Draft and College Football Podcast. We're inching closer and closer to the 2024 NFL Draft, kicking off at the end of April. We were just on site in Indianapolis for the 2024 NFL Scouting Combine, breaking everything down for you all. And I'm joined by a player that was just in Indianapolis as well. Has been very busy on the draft process so far. Got Mr. Ladarius Henderson, who is starting offensive lineman out of the University of Michigan, obviously a 2024 NFL draft prospect, also spent a few years with the Arizona State Sun Devils before transferring over to Michigan for his final year and national championship year. So
Yep.
Ladarius, joining the show, man. Really appreciate you taking some time, brother. I know you're back down in Florida doing the training thing right now. So how's everything been going, man, post combine?
Oh, it's been great. Just kind of like, when you have a pro day at Michigan, it's kind of like you get Combine 2.0. So
Sure.
it's just been awesome preparing for that, and it's kind of like one of the last steps before the actual draft. So it's just something I'm optimistic about.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And I definitely want to get into a little bit of your journey, but you already mentioned a little bit. You guys are I for people that don't know, that don't follow the draft too closely. Michigan just set a record for most players at the combine in history. You had 18 total players there. You already mentioned it. When you get back up there for the pro day, it's going to basically be that combine all over again with how many guys that you guys have in this draft. Well, Ladarius, I guess first and foremost, man, just what's it like being a part of this group that you have? Because obviously you were a guy that took advantage of the transfer portal, but you were a part of a historical senior class in 2024 NFL draft class for the University of Michigan. What's it like just to be a part of that group?
Man, it's surreal. I mean, it's obviously super cool because I have a ton of things I can tell my kids someday when I have kids, and they'll think I was way cooler than I actually am. But it's just awesome to be a part of history making. Like this is legit making history in every facet, and it's amazing just to win a national championship, break this record, and hopefully we can break the draft record with the amount
Yeah.
of guys we hope to get drafted. But it's just honestly, man, it's amazing.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into every part of that year at Michigan, man, because I know it was a really special one for you. But I do want to ask you a little bit about just kind of obviously your first stop at Arizona State,
Yeah.
because you obviously were a substantial player for them. I believe, if I remember correctly, just looking at your bio, I think you had like 19 starts at guard at Arizona State, 10 starts at tackle. So you played a ton of football with Arizona State. Can
Yeah.
you just talk to me about, I guess, a little bit of the highlights of your Arizona State career and ultimately leading up to this final season?
Yeah, so I mean, I started as a true freshman at Arizona State, and I was like 17 for that entire season. So that was kind of like a big deal for the media at the time, like 17-year-old starting left tackle. So what I mean, so it was kind of like trial by fire. So I can't say I went in there and dominated every game because I didn't, but I was learning, and I kind of credit my early experience to my later success at the position because I got to get those game reps where a lot of 17-year-olds probably have to start on scout team or whatever, which is nothing wrong with
Sure.
scout team, but and so I love that part of being at Arizona State and getting to be a captain there and learning how to lead a team and then getting to play left guard there and a little bit of right guard, just learning how to be position flexible, which is something I would have never done if I didn't get to play guard and kind of just your initial friends are there. You kind of go from a boy to a man, and you're in college, and so I just have a lot of great memories from being down in Tempe, Arizona. But it's awesome. Like I loved it.
Well, and you bring a really interesting profile because you just mentioned something that I think is really important. You've played several different positions on the offensive line. For people that just kind of talk about thresholds for offensive tackles, you also are well over 34-inch arms. So, like, you kind of have that offensive tackle build, but then you also have that experience inside a guard as well. How much do you
Absolutely.
feel like just your, I guess, alignment versatility as far as being able to play inside and out a little bit? How much does that help you just kind of moving to that next step on the next level?
Well, I think it helps me a ton, which is part of the reason why I wanted to come to Michigan and show that because I knew
Yeah,
Coach Moore wanted me to play left tackle. And I played it as a freshman, but nobody really cares what you did as a freshman. So it's like,
sure.
if I do it now, they'll know for sure that I am as position flexible as I know that I am, So
Yeah.
it means a ton just to be able to even switch those positions in game and understand the technique needed to play those different positions because they're very different. So I think it's awesome, and I think it'll help me a ton.
Well, and you mentioned obviously the relationship with Coach Moore and being able to go to Michigan and start at left tackle for a national championship team. When you were, I guess, Ladarius, because I know the portal is a great opportunity for players
Mhm.
now because you get to just kind of weigh your options and see what the best case scenario is for your future and just kind of weigh everything that's involved in there. When you went into the portal and maybe when you first had just kind of heard from Michigan, just I guess why was the Wolverines ultimately a spot? You mentioned playing left tackle, but Coach Moore obviously has been one of the best offensive line developers in the country. Just kind of take me through your decision to end at Michigan.
Well, when I after the season before I got to Michigan, I was at a crossroads. Do I declare for the draft or do I go back to college? And in my mind, it was either going to be declare for the draft or go to Michigan. There was no other option. I wasn't going to be entertain the amount of NIL dollars I could have got somewhere else because there were numbers, great numbers. But I was like, I got 1 year to boost my job stock as much as I can. 1 year to do what I want to do and close the book on this college career. So I want to go play with the best offensive line, and they had just come off of winning 2 Joe Moore awards. So I want to
Yep.
play with the best offensive line coach, and I want to be on a national stage because in the Pac-12, you feel like nobody's watching at 9 p.m. West Coast time. So and I mean, you play games like the game versus Ohio State, and the whole world is watching. Like that was a new feeling for me, and I love that. So that played into the factor of why I went there.
And I know Michigan's obviously going through a little bit of a transitional now with Coach Harbaugh going over to the LA Chargers, but Coach Moore, who I know that you've probably developed a great relationship, obviously in your year with Michigan, he's taken over as the head coach. Can you just give us a little glimpse for maybe people that don't know too much about Sharon Moore and what he can bring to the table? Like, how excited are you for him having this opportunity to now be the lead man at Michigan?
I am so excited because a lot of people see the fire, they see the passion, they
Yep.
love that about him. They see the production that his offensive lines get. They see that we win games, so they're like, "Oh, he must be a great coach," which he is.
Sure.
However, this guy is a mad scientist when it comes to play calling and just knowing what to do. Like his football mind is Albert Einstein level, and I think a lot of people are gonna see that. I mean, they probably already have seen that, but I'm just so excited for him because I don't know if there's too many humans on Earth that have a greater football mind than he does. So,
Well, and I wanted to ask you because I know you already mentioned it a little bit, being able to, be blessed to be able to win a national championship and to be a part of that great historical year you guys just had at Michigan. But just kind of looking at it, I guess, a little bit deeper, man. I mean, again, you were a player that was deciding between NFL draft or Michigan. There was no other in between.
mhm.
You decided to go to Michigan and you helped to lead them to because they've been close the last couple years. Obviously, I mean they've just been in the playoffs against the team that was the runner-up in the national championship game last year. But to be a part of a team that just went 15-0, national championship, brought the school its first national championship in a couple decades here, like just I guess in the surrealness of that moment, man. What was that like?
Man, I mean, it still doesn't feel real, and like every time that I think about, man, I'm a national champion. Like it doesn't die out. Like it's not like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like it's like, oh my God, every single time. And it's something that we always talked about, even when they were recruiting me, and ever since I got there all year long, it's like we can win a national championship. We can win the national championship. And it's like when we finally did it, it's like, man, we did do what we said we were gonna do this entire time. And it's still blowing my mind. As we speak, it's blowing my mind right now.
And it should, man. You guys just accomplished something that not many people gave you the. I mean, not many people picked you to do before the
Yeah.
season, and a lot of people counted you guys out during the year for various reasons. And you guys shut up all the doubters, to say the least. There, well, and I wanted to ask because we mentioned the 18 players that went to the combine. But the most outrageous number, I think, a part of that 18 was that there were 6 offensive linemen from Michigan at the combine. Just absolutely incredible. I know Drake Nugent was another guy that transferred over from Stanford, so he was a guy that wasn't there. But outside of that, I mean, Zach Zinner and the rest of those guys that were already there.
hmm
What's it like to just be a part of that unit? Because I mean, we'll talk about JJ McCarthy, I'm sure, at some point, and Blake Corum and all the other great offensive players that are on this team. But when you think about the University of Michigan the last few years and what the stay power is and what they've been built off of, it has been the trenches. You mentioned the
Yep.
back-to-back Joe Moore Award winner. So just being a part of that Michigan offensive line and seeing all your guys down there in Indianapolis as well again.
Man, it's awesome. I mean, when you get all the beef in one area, like, it's gonna be a great time. But it's uh it's just really cool to get, because it's such a unique position. Like, it's very hard, and it's a really, you have to be really skillful, and I feel like we had pretty athletic guys too, so it helped. But just, you have to work together as a unit. There's so many things that have to go right together for one thing to work. If one guy out of the five is jacked up, then it doesn't matter how good any of us do. So it's just, we have so many guys that care
Yep.
about their job and getting it done. Man, I mean, I just feel like the unit is always going to be special, and there's going to be a special connection there when guys can do that.
So you had the chance to play against some great defensive lines this year, right? Ohio
Yes.
State and obviously
Oh my
Alabama
God.
and a lot of great ones. But I would contend that the best unit that you guys played probably every single week was the team that you saw in practice every day. I mean, the
No doubt.
for
No
for people
doubt.
that are for people that are looking forward to 2025, like I'm already juiced up about Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant. Like obviously you guys had Braden McGregor and Jalen Harrell and Josiah Stewart. I think went back to school, right? The Coastal
Hmm.
Carolina transfer from last year. So can you talk to me about just I guess because I know you guys are playing against the twos as the starting offensive line, against the scout team, like that type of stuff. But when you get the chance to play against those types of guys, just how beneficial is it for you to be the best version of yourself when you had to play against that type of level of talent?
Bruh, you have to bring it, or it's gonna go bad for you. Like, or it's
Yeah,
gonna go bad. There is no way around it. Like, I remember, I'll just tell you a story. When I first got to
sure.
Michigan, and I'm in fall camp. So I'm going from where I was to now I'm in Michigan fall camp.
Yep.
And I don't know these guys just yet, or just how great they are. I know that they're really good. I didn't know yet that they were the best in the country. So I'm in practice, and I take a rep at guard, and Mason Graham, it's like third and long. He knows his pass, hits me with the quickest spin move, and I don't even think I've been hit with a spin move at guard prior to this ever. And I'm just like, bruh, what is going on right now? I have to have an intervention with myself. Like, do I need to get some extra work, because this is different. Like, these guys, you have to bring it every day, or it's gonna go bad for you.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw that. I mean, it was hilarious watching you guys against Washington because I'm watching Roger Rosengarten at right tackle, who's a good player, by the
Great
way. Like
player.
he's gonna go top 100 most likely in this draft, and like a couple of your guys made him look silly on a couple reps. Like it's that type of just talent and it's the depth too. Like I think that's
Yeah.
been kind of the biggest difference between like what Georgia was able to do for a couple years ago and then some of the other teams that were probably a tier down was just
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't just that they had Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. It was like they would bring those guys out, and here comes Devontae Wyatt and Warren Brinson and Nazir Stackhouse. Like they just had depth on depth
Yeah.
on depth. So not only that, you guys also got to see Junior Colson in practice, Michael
Yep.
Barrett, like just so many great players. Before I go deeper into a little bit of obviously your draft process here, Ladarius, I wanted to ask you just about everyone's talking obviously heavily about JJ McCarthy potentially being a top 10
Yeah.
pick, your quarterback that you got to protect for a year. Just in your perspective, what makes him special? Like what makes him stand out as a player that you've been around?
Well, if I have to stand on the table for JJ McCarthy, this is what I'll say. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things I'll say, but this is what I will say. When you get to the NFL, all of our offensive linemen, you got some dudes that are 6'8", 340, but for the most part, all of us are the same size. All
Yeah.
these quarterbacks can, some throw better than others, but all of them can throw. What makes people different, I feel like, at the next level, is their mentality and how they attack each day, and your mental preparation. And I feel like JJ's will be second to none with the rookies coming in, and just, he has arm talent. He's way more athletic than people give him credit for. You saw that with his three cone. He super cares. Like, he knows how to win. He throws a great ball, and his mental is off the charts. So I just think when a guy is that dialed in with who he wants to be as a player mentally, it's gonna be hard for him not to succeed.
Yeah, and that 3 cone you're talking about was 6.82, I think, like some
Yeah,
crazy number
and he's
like that.
done.
Because
He's ran faster than that before. We've seen a faster number than that.
that's insane. I got a little bit of a heads up that he might be running somewhere in the 4.5s if he runs a pro day as well. So we're gonna be in tune for some pretty good numbers from JJ McCarthy to say the least.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you about your little bit of your process now because it started, after the season, you're just fresh off of national championship. You go down to Mobile, Alabama to test your talent against some of the best and premier players in the 2024 NFL draft, the top seniors. And also, it's open to juniors now, too. So you're testing it against everybody, right? So
Yeah.
what was the experience like down in Mobile, and how do you feel like you handled yourself that week?
Oh, it was a ton of fun. Just to, I mean, once you're with the top of the top, and you're doing well, and you're playing well with these guys, it just boosts your confidence even more.
For
And
sure.
I got a chance to play a full day of tackle there, a full day of guard there, just show that position flexibility again. And it was fun, man. Just a lot of these guys are cool people, man. Just to meet them and hear their stories and their backgrounds, and then ultimately practice with them. You make some more lifelong friends along the way. So I had a great time. I thought it was awesome.
And then you go up to Indianapolis, where there's over 300 of the top players in the 2024 NFL draft that are being a part of. It's not just the on the field stuff that we see televised on TV. I was there, so I got the media availability with a lot of you guys. Get to hear about the medicals, how that all comes down. Obviously, you're meeting with teams, at night, and when you guys have opportunities to do so, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of things that are involved in the combine process. What was that like, man? Because I've talked to a lot. I remember my favorite interview I ever did was I have a pretty good relationship with J.C. Horn, that's with the Carolina Panthers, and he
Hmm.
was telling me about his process where it's like he was up at 4 a.m. one day doing medical stuff, and he didn't get back into his room until like 1 a.m. Like, what was your process like for those few days down in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I mean the time schedule is nuts. Like the day before you do all the drills and stuff, we have informal interviews from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And then you got to go to get your room, eat real quick, shower, and go to sleep and get up early because you got field workout the next day. So the time schedule is hard. Like it definitely is. And there's also some moments where you're like, man, this is awesome because this is a dream. Like you've always wanted to be at the combine. Even we have a little quick interview. Even in my mind, I'm like, man, I'm getting to do this interview. Like this is awesome. So
Yeah.
just being down there and even reconnecting with some of my old teammates like Jaden Daniels and Ricky Pearsall and Johnny Wilson are all there. And so it was just awesome. I was with my new teammates, saw my old teammates, and just living the dream, man. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. What was it like, Ladarius, as far as being able to, you mentioned, just doing it, right? Like being able to talk
Hmm.
to those teams and everything, but what was kind of just some of the feedback you got, and were there any, maybe a couple teams that really stood out to you as far as like just having great conversations with them in Indy?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. When I'm doing these interviews, I kind of try to read how I'm doing. I feel like I always do pretty well in these, but at the
Yeah.
Senior Bowl, you're
Oh,
talking to.
I don't want to cut you off, but I just want to let you know, man, you are a great interview, by the way. I just want to let you know that before you continue. Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
At the Senior Bowl, you're meeting with more scouts or whatnot, so you kind of, in a way, you get more like facial expression feedback, you know what I mean, or more. But in Indy, you're talking to more like O-line coaches and whatnot.
Right.
So like it's more like, yep, draw this up, okay, yeah,
They're grilling
um,
you. They're grilling
yeah.
you, right? Yeah,
They're
they're
trying to
grilling
see.
you.
They're trying to see. So it's more grilling at the combine, which I never really got grilled or anything, but it was definitely harder to read in Indy. But I know for a fact that any whiteboard stuff or like drawing something up, I definitely knocked it out the park.
So the rest of the process, obviously, you already mentioned. I think you said it on air, but you told me beforehand. March 22nd, you're getting back up to Michigan for the pro day. Outside of that, I know we're also in the top 30 visits season right now.
Yeah.
Are there any teams that you plan on meeting with, or that are, I guess, verified or cemented at this point?
I told my agent let's talk about the and schedule 30 visits after the pro day because right now
Nice.
we're just like laser focused on getting to this next week and a half, and then
Yep.
after that we're gonna have some lined up for sure.
Love it. I love it. So that March 22nd pro day then, I mean, obviously you did a lot of the testing already out in Indianapolis. Well, I want to ask more about the experience to be able to get back up because I know you said that you're going to get back a couple days beforehand and just get back around the
Hmm.
program and everything.
Yeah.
So, how excited are you in this process where you're down in Florida training, you're in Indianapolis, you're in Mobile, Alabama, you get to get back up to Michigan? What's just that going to be like that experience?
Honestly, it's gonna be pretty cool because I hadn't been up there since we won, So it's it's gonna be pretty cool just to see my guys, see Coach Tress, Alex Orgy, like the guys in the locker room, Gio, Miles, like it's guys I want to see. So it's gonna be pretty fun and just to be back around the program, see Coach Moore. I'm looking forward to it.
And my last question for you, Ladarius, and I really appreciate your time so much, is I know that we are coming up now, only several weeks away from, I'm sure, a childhood dream for you to be able to call yourself a professional football player. So, just kind of my
Yeah.
last question is just I guess, kind of taking a step back for a second and just kind of appreciating that for a second. Like, I guess, two parter is first, how long has that been a dream for you? And
Hmm.
two, just when that moment does happen, you get that call and you're drafted officially to whatever prospective team ends up taking a chance on you. What kind of blessing is that moment going to be like for you and your family?
I mean, so I started playing football in 11th grade, and ever since I started playing football, it was my dream to play at this level and to succeed at this level. Like my dream, I never grew up really watching college football, so my mind has always been laser focused on, you know, succeeding in the NFL. So it's been a dream for me, and when it happens, it's definitely going to be emotional for us. And man, I just honestly can't even imagine. Like even though I'm looking it in the face and it's seeming like it's definitely going to happen. It's still like, man, I still can't believe this is happening. Like to a point where it's like, is this really gonna happen? Because
It's wild, man.
you know what I mean. So it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those feelings where it's like, is this really happening? Is this really my reality? Even though I'm staring it in the face.
Do you know what your plans for draft day? You guys just gonna have like a big party at home? Like
Yep.
what's those plans like?
So I'm going back to Dallas, Texas, and doing it there, so my grandparents can be there. I don't
Nice.
want to have them trying to travel and get on flights and whatnot. So we're going back home for that, having to get together.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, Ladarius Henderson, again, starting offensive lineman at the University of Michigan, 2024 NFL draft prospect. Spent some great years, obviously, at Arizona State as well out there. Ladarius, I appreciate you so much, man. I know this is a very hectic time for you, starting to talk to teams, finishing up training, getting ready for pro day and everything. Just want to thank you so much, man, and wishing you the best of luck throughout the rest of the process.
Thank you so much.